What can we expect to see in the Outlander prequel series, Blood of My Blood, given what we know about the books? As always, this will have spoilers for the books and the TV show, so if you are looking to avoid those, please do keep on scrolling. Now, I know we haven't been given a formal date from Starz as to when Blood of My Blood will air on TV, but I have been giving a lot of thought to what I think might happen on this show, specifically with Brian and Ellen Fraser. These two characters are referenced plenty of times in the books and in the shows, and so there is some context as to what their storyline might be in this prequel series, unlike Claire's parents, who are not written about in the books, and I really do think the showrunners are going to take those characters and utilize them in some pretty unexpected ways, especially after watching the finale of this most recent season. So here's what I know as a book reader, and I want to share with you. We know that in Outlander, Ellen was from the very powerful MacKenzie clan and is the daughter of the chieftain, Jacob MacKenzie. She was very close with Colum, who, as we know, was sickly as a child, and Ellen actually was very involved in nursing him to health when they were kids. They spent a lot of time together. The younger version of Colum will be played by this actor, Seamus Ross, and the younger version of Dougal will be played by Sam Retford. In the books, it was said that even after Colum got married, he would often spend a lot of time with Ellen discussing clan matters, the future of the MacKenzie clan, and sometimes that would involve Dougal, but it was evident that these two were very close with one another. But Ellen defied tradition when she ran away and married Brian Fraser, a Fraser of Lovat, and it was without the consent of her brothers Colum and Dougal. This all happened during a gathering at Leoch in 1716, and it was said that Ellen said something that offended Malcolm Grant, who was the suitor that was trying to court her, and it upset him so much that he actually left the gathering, and Ellen did as well, which is when her and Brian actually went away and eloped. It's also said in the books that after this, her and Colum never spoke again. Now, their romance is definitely being set up as a very Romeo and Juliet type spin. There's going to be clan politics, there's going to be family honor, and all of those things are going to add to this tension because they very likely probably knew they shouldn't be together, but they wanted to be. And then when they actually do go ahead and move forward with it, there is collateral surrounding them. Now, I obviously think we are going to get plenty of screen time showcasing how they met, the early kind of sparks of their relationship, and then I really do think that we will end highlighting the fallout between Ellen and the rest of her family. When Ellen became pregnant, the two of them hid out in a little shack together until Ellen was showing visibly, and that is when they chose to announce, that they were together and it was Brian's child, so that her brothers Colum and Dougal could not deny her the marriage to Brian. And their first son, William, who Jamie references plenty of times in the books and the show, was actually born a week after they married in the doorway at Lallybroch. Now, Ellen, who's going to be played by Harriet Slater here, is described in the books as being a very strong-willed and independent woman. I think that they're going to probably reference the political pressure that she felt from her older brother and the rest of the clan to have her marriage be one of political influence. And I think that conflict that leads to her leading this separate life with Brian and leaving all of the clan dynamics behind is going to play a pretty significant role here. I would have to imagine that Colum and Dougal had other marital plans in mind for her that would have strengthened the clan's alliances as a whole, and she probably very quickly put an end to those. The MacKenzie clan is historically known as being very charming but sly, so I'm sure we're going to get plenty of that with her on screen, and the Frasers, as we know, are described as being very stubborn. Malcolm Grant, who is the man that Ellen denies his advances on, he's a very minor character in the books, but he is the chieftain of Clan Grant. So I'm, again, really getting the sense that they're going to want her to be with him for clan alliances and to strengthen the clan, and she's really not impressed by this man at all. I don't think he'll take her rejection very well, and I think that Ellen asserting her independence and ultimately choosing her partner for love is probably going to be the central conflict in their half of the story, separate from the story highlighting Claire's parents. But there's plenty of ways that they can tie this story in with the actual present-day show of Outlander, specifically Jamie and Claire's story and how they mirror one another. As we saw in the most recent season of Outlander, there is a painting of Ellen in the hall at Lallybroch that Brianna does see when she visits. And we actually learn in Outlander the book that Ellen was a very accomplished painter, and many of her paintings were showcased at Lallybroch. Now, the one that is said to have been in the hallway, which is the one Bree looks at in the episode, she's wearing her freshwater pearl necklace that we see Jamie give to Claire in the first season of Outlander. So that's another way that this will be tied together. In the second book, A Dragonfly in Amber, Claire has just told Bree about her true parentage and her father, and Bree doesn't believe her, and Claire actually tells Brianna to go to the National Portrait Gallery because the painting, the very same one of Ellen, is hanging there, and she'll be able to see the necklace on her grandmother and the resemblance between Brianna and Ellen. So I do think that we're going to get plenty of references to that in some way or another, especially since they made such a point of highlighting that in the season finale of Outlander. Now, Brian Fraser, who will be played by Jamie Roy, is the illegitimate son of Lord Simon Lovat, Lord Lovat, or the Old Fox, who we got to know in season 2 of the main series. His birth alone already makes him a very politically complicated figure, and the relationship with his father, his commonly known status as a bastard, leads to a lot of struggles, I would say, probably over land, his inheritance, and where he falls in this hierarchy of the Fraser family. So I do think we're going to get plenty of insight into that. Lord Lovat also did not approve of Brian marrying Ellen, and he actually tried to stop their marriage by claiming that her baby was not Brian's. And similar to Ellen no longer speaking to Colm or Dougal after their marriage, Brian never speaks to his father again after they are married. I think we're probably going to see a lot of Brian navigating the complicated politics within his family and the greater politics going on of the region, and trying to prove himself as someone worthy of marrying Ellen. This is all going to be taking place pre-Jacobite Rising, when the Highland clans were still heavily involved in the more kind of smaller inter-clan alliances and disputes with one another. And I do think that the tension between Ellen and her older brothers and the elopement is going to spark a lot of broader political conversations that we'll probably see. We know that we're also going to see a few other side characters, including Ned Gowan, who is here. He's going to be played by this actor Connor McNeil. We also get a young Myrta, a young Mrs. Fitz, plenty of younger characters of people we know and love from the earlier seasons of Outlander. We will also be introduced to Ellen's father and Colm and Dougal's father, who is Red Jacob MacKenzie, and we will learn of Brian's mother, who is Davina Porter. Fun fact, Diana Gabaldon actually named this character after the woman who narrates the Outlander books. I do think for Colm and Dougal, Ellen's marriage is probably going to feel quite a bit like a personal betrayal to them, but also as a strategic loss. It's going to create a long-term strain between the Frasers and the Mackenzies, and as we know in the main series, Jamie's kind of the fallout of that. Now, I don't know how far into their relationship we'll get. We might see the birth of Jamie's oldest brother, William, potentially Jenny. I don't think we'll see the birth of Jamie in this series, but I do think we will get a deeper understanding of Colm and Dougal's personalities specifically and their motivations before they meet Claire in Outlander, which I'm looking forward to. Dougal's a very fierce, loyal political entity in the clan, and Colm is a more calculated mind, and I do think that a lot of how they behave will be shaped by Ellen's actions. This would be a cool way for them to make direct ties to things Colm and Dougal said in the main series and not give too much away, But I do think their treatment of Jamie in season 1 of Outlander will be informed by Ellen in this series.